Hello, welcome to Undisputed Boxing. It's results time. We're here to review Demetrius Andrade defeats Liam Williams on points to retain his WBO middleweight title. I'm here with Rick. He is traveling now that the lockdown is over. People are moving around again. How you doing, Rick?
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm driving on the M6 motorway in the UK. So sorry you can't see my lovely face. I've actually had a haircut though, you'd be pleased to know, but you'll have to see that next week.
Yeah, about time.
Yeah.
So what did you, another prediction we got right? I guess this is a pretty easy one to call, but what did you make of the fight, the main event?
I'll be honest, I've seen the highlights of it, so I've not seen full coverage. Just saw the highlights that this morning. But it looked a very good fight. Looked quite entertaining, a bit back and forth, especially middle towards the back. But Andrade, he has this habit of starting really fast and getting fighters on the back foot and getting them down. And I don't know if he just runs out of steam or not, but yeah, it was. I think it's one of those where you expect him to win, and he did. And he won quite comfortably on the points. So I do think some of the cards are a bit wide, but you're kind of left with that taste in your mouth of, should he have done better? Should he have looked better? And in a division where he's got some big names, how does he compare to them? And I'm still left with a kind of, I'm not sure. And does he beat a Triple G? Does he, does he beat a Charlo? That didn't make me think anything more than I did before the fight, and I was looking for a few more answers, I think.
Yeah, I think that goes with a lot of the consensus of a lot of things that I've seen on Twitter and YouTube. A lot of people are kind of semi-critical of Andrade. I've got to say, I thought, at the start of the fight, I've watched the whole fight. Those first sort of 2 or 3 rounds, he really rushed Williams and caught him with some sweet hooks and uppercuts. And Liam Williams was having so many problems with Andrade's lateral movement and pivoting, and he made it actually look very easy. And it actually, after the first 2 rounds, he was just rocking him at will. And I just thought this actually could be a little bit embarrassing. Because Liam Williams, I just didn't think he really did anything fantastic. He's very, it's going to sound a little bit, I don't know, off, but I just think Liam was a little bit basic for me. And there was a lot of talk, admittedly from UK fans, that Williams is going to do it, and a lot of people were backing Williams to win. And I was just like, I just didn't see it. I did not see that at all. He's really basic. Didn't really change his game as well. Didn't change tactics. He was just getting lit up on that with that uppercut, and he just kept on catching him, even towards the later stages of the fight, when Andrade was kind of taking a few rounds off, and I don't know, he did come on strong, and I think in round 8 and 9, Andrade, I don't know if he just took a couple of rounds off, or he was starting to gas a little bit, or just sort of trying to manage the fight a little bit. He was obviously he was way ahead on the scorecards. But flashes of brilliance, and it's a little bit like the Billy Joe Saunders kind of dilemma, where he just does enough to beat the level of opposition, but it's like, well, how many levels does he have? And I still think he has a lot more levels to go. And he's desperate for a big fight now. He really needs. We said this before on the preview video, that he really needs to get in there with a Golovkin, Charlo, that's got to happen for him next. Even if I think middleweight.
I think he was a bit rocked in the 9th though. I think he did get hurt in the 9th.
He did, yeah.
And I think it's like his chin's obviously not granite if he can get rocked, and I do wonder about his own punching power. And do you know what I mean? He maybe has power at the start of the fight, it diminishes. I don't know if he's a bit weight drained or if he just isn't. It just seems to happen quite a few fights now. I don't know if he just you know, or if he can't get up for these fights, so he doesn't train as much. But I do worry for him going in these bigger fights. You know, there's a few things that I've seen now, and I'm like, they're becoming bigger and bigger questions rather than more and more answers.
Yeah. Yeah, he needs that kind of signature fight, you know, in Vegas, you know, another American like a Charlo or so, even if he has to step up to middleweight. I do still think there's a lot more levels to go for him. But I just don't know if it's going to happen. You know, he's quite awkward. He has that kind of spearing jab. He has a really good reach as well for somebody of his stature and size. But yeah, I mean, I still see. I didn't read too much into, you know, the sort of the flat performance towards the end of the fight. I mean, yeah, I just think he just did enough to beat him. I didn't think there was anything. A lot of people saying the scorecards were a little bit unfair. I didn't really have too many sort of issues with the scorecard, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, I really want to see him in the ring with, you know, either of the Charlo brothers or a Golovkin next. Which I don't understand why that you know, because Golovkin's got a deal with DAZN, hasn't it? I don't understand why that's so much. Not even.
Well, he's fighting. Can't remember the guy's name. The one who has the other belt in the division. Murata, yeah. But that's not till December or something.
Yeah. Yeah. So, exactly. Yeah. So
it's like, what's he doing in between?
Yeah. I don't know how that affects the fight though. If you sign a deal to fight somebody on the 31st of December, and it's for belts, you know, both of them are belt holders, then I don't know. Does the deal change if Golovkin loses it?
I don't know why on earth are you signing a fight that far ahead.
I know it's a little bit strange. I did see that on Boxing News 24. I did think it was a bit of a strange move. Maybe, you know, they're just waiting for crowds to come back, because I think Japan has actually gone back into lockdown, or parts of Japan have gone back into lockdown, which is a little bit worrying considering they're hosting the Olympics.
Yeah, but like, why does that have to happen in Japan? That's just odd. It's almost like he wants the year off or something. I don't know. It just frustrates me. I think when you've got a big name like Triple G, you want to see them in big fights with some other people, and then they just don't fight for most of the year. It almost becomes the trendy thing now. I'll fight once a year. Great.
It is super common as well, though, with fighters that get into the kind of you know, the autumn of their career. They generally kind of fight once a year. Costa Tszyu did that. I think the last 3 years he had like one fight a year. Yeah, just generally how they do it. But all right. So what do you reckon? What's next for Liam Williams? I guess going back down to domestic, or do you see a way back into, you know, world title contention for him? Were you impressed with him?
Possibly. Depends what you're kind of what you're gauging him at. He's your typical British fighter, really. Do you know what I mean? You know, tough, gritty, but one-dimensional.
Yeah.
You know, I know you kind of said basic. I can see a little bit of that, but you know, just they always have good hearts and that, but it's just they haven't quite got the skill level. Like, it's quite a strong division, isn't it? So, how old is he now?
Don't know. It's a good question. Is he maybe 30? I'll have a quick look. Whilst I'm looking for that, what did you make of the YouTube fight between Ben Askren and Jake Paul? Did you watch it?
I did. Well, I did when I heard it went around, so I thought I'll watch that. And yeah, well, Ben Askren, I don't know what he just didn't look. I don't know. He looked unfit. He looked very fleshy. He had a really weird. Seemed to have a style. I don't even know if he threw a punch, but he seemed very like robotic, mummy-like, and yeah, took a punch, and he seemed to get up there, and it was weird why it was waved off. I mean, I didn't overanalyze it, but he seemed to be stood up for quite a time, and the ref waved it off. But I don't know. It just made it more of a farce really than I even thought it was. And now you're going to have Jake Paul, shouting out he's the best in the world. It's like, it's just like, well, actually fight a proper boxer, and you know, then we'll see how good you really are.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, he's got all of these followers, but he's just got so many people that want to see him lose now. He's basically done what Floyd did 15 years ago on steroids. And, in this kind of mass world of kind of YouTube and social media, and everybody in lockdown, everybody, it's just, I don't know, the perfect.
Yeah, it's only going to last for so long though, because if he keeps fighting, especially if he comes out with that crap of I'm the best fighter in the world or something. I mean, he's been going around saying that, and that does get people's backs up, gets my back up, and then you're right, you do then tune in to want to see him lose. But then if he's just fighting like nobody's, I won't even be bothered, because I'm just like, you're not, you say you're the best in the world, but you're not proving it by fighting anyone even remotely close.
Yeah.
I mean, if he fought Tommy Fury and beat him, then he'd get my attention. I still don't think he'd be the best in the world, because Tommy Fury's not, but he'll at least got my attention. But I don't think he'd do any good there. But he probably won't fight someone like him, because I want to keep this illusion going. He'll want to just wind people up, and he'll fight someone else he'll find an angle that will be like, oh, it will get enough people to be interested. Without taking too much. But really, for me, he just needs to fight an actual boxer who's fighting now and, relatively good.
Yeah.
I don't even want to see him like fight for a boxing world title. He wouldn't get sanctioned. But do you know what I mean? It's almost like he doesn't deserve it. He needs to do what everyone else does and go through the ranks.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I'm not even going to really talk about him in a serious way until he's had a serious fight.
I know, I can tell you're getting annoyed just talking about it. Liam Williams is 28, so I think there's still plenty of time for him to come back into world title contention.
Who would be a good domestic dust-up for him?
Chris Eubank.
Chris Eubank, yeah.
There's quite a few, actually, at middleweight. I don't think he's going to want to go back down to middleweight, though, is the problem. Go back down to kind of local... domestic fighters. I think he really wants to be going for a world title.
Yeah, I mean that Eubank could be a good fight, because I think Eubank will look at that and go, I can beat him, and especially if he thinks I can beat him and I could stop him, and that looks good versus Andrade performance. So
yeah,
that's how Eubank could look at it. He might go, right, I don't see it as a huge risk. But I could end up, the upside is I could look good. It's all about not illusion, but sometimes if you're not fighting a big fight, you want to fight someone where you then can go, well, look, he's a world title holder and I beat him quicker than that.
Yeah. I think the issue that you're going to have, it will be a fight that would need to be made between Queensberry and Matchroom, which I think Matchroom will have plenty of other sort of options they'd rather put. When I say Matchroom, I mean I know he's with Callie Sauerland, but they're very strongly affiliated with Matchroom. They do a lot of stuff with Matchroom, so you'd imagine, similar to George Groves, he'll probably be on Matchroom cards now, probably for the rest of his career, Chris Eubank Jr. But let's see how he gets on against Marcus Morrison in a couple of weeks.
They've just worked with Williams in Queensberry, and I know it was mandatory, but
yeah, it was mandatory.
Might help a bit. Yeah, they might help them a bit.
Yeah, well, that definitely. I mean, I don't think they would have. I don't think Andrade would have fought Williams if it wasn't his mandatory. He obviously wants to keep his belt.
Because I think Hearn gets on with Warren's son. All right.
Francis.
Yeah, I think that's an all right relationship.
Yeah. I think it'd be a decent fight, actually. Liam Williams and Chris Eubank Jr. Chris Eubank Jr. really needs to get a move on, though, if he wants to. He's so inactive. And maybe if he blasts through Marcus Morrison, he's really got to be kind of looking at a world title himself.
Yeah.
But, we'll see. All right. I think we can wrap it up. We'll do a quick boxing news video as well. Catch up on a few bits. Go on.
There was the heavyweights on the card.
Oh yeah, Majidov.
Yeah. He got floored and did his ankle, didn't he?
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, it looked like a horrific injury. I mean, that ankle is going to be an absolute mess, and that's going to be a long time out, which is a real shame because I think he's 34 or 35. He really needs to I think he famously beat Anthony Joshua in the amateurs, and they've got quite high hopes for him. But they really wanted to kind of, rush him a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't actually look hurt from the shot, but
no, it was kind of a flash knockdown, wasn't it? But he just felt awkward on his ankle, and then
it doesn't bode well. He's getting floored by people like that, though, does it?
No. He started really well. He's got like a really tough, like he was throwing that jab, that spearing jab. That could have been a real.
He was going backwards. He was flying backwards, the guy, wasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Broken in 2 places, I think.
Oh. Yeah, that's going to be at least 4 to 6 months out, isn't it?
Yeah, not a good one.
All right, then. Let's wrap it up. Thank you to everybody for listening. Please like and subscribe if you like what you hear. Thanks.